Nick went from dancing in front of his dad's clunky 1987 VHS camcorder to winning an Emmy 2 years ago for editing Chaos and Kindness, the wild Amazon Prime, very local series with recycled percussion. In between, horror shorts on public access, car commercials at 19, Werner Herzog Q&As at the Coolidge Corner Theater, 7 years cutting peer-reviewed science videos at Jove, and getting surprise entered into a Spartan race on national television. We're sure to talk about that. Right now, he's quietly writing a sci-fi pilot about ghost hunting apps that accidentally make the ghosts real. And he's pretty sure the best is still yet ahead. Nick, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, I have to say, your profile is precisely the kind of people that we're interested in speaking with. People that are not in their early stages of their career, but have a little time under their belt and have explored a couple of different options and have found that sort of melange of different experiences has led them to yet a new plateau where they're going to take off from. And you've certainly done a little bit of everything and achieved some success along the way. So I'm excited to hear about these experiences firsthand.
Yeah, it's been a trip.
And a trip, it sounds like, I mean, I got to ask about getting the Spartan race. Can you share a little bit about that with me?
We were doing a tour of 30 days on the road, traveling all over the United States, just the three of us, me and the two drummers for Recycle Percussion. And we made it to, I think it was North Carolina, where he mentioned, hey, we're going to do a Spartan race. That's going to be one of our stunts, because every day we're going to do a stunt and an act of kindness for 30 days straight. And we're going to, broadcast it on Facebook Live. So they were mentioning a Spartan race happening that weekend. And they were asking me, kind of joking around, because I'm not an athletic guy, and they know that. They're like, hey, Nick, do you want to do the Spartan race? And I was joking, like, yeah, sure, why not? Little did I know that they actually did sign me up, but they didn't sign themselves up. The tables were turned, and they were like, you're going to do the stunt, and we're going to Facebook Live it. And honestly, I did pretty well. I'm pretty proud of myself, I should say, not being an athletic person. I did throw up towards the end of the race, which was 2 obstacles away from the finish line. So I took a moment, 10 minutes, kind of huddling, in fetal position. I'm like, oh my God, knowing that I'm live. And I'm hoping that they didn't see me puke, or at least they didn't see the aftermath. But so I ended up finishing the race, and we continued on the tour. We went to Nashville. We went to Texas. We went to Little Rock. There was this deep, extreme cave system, one of the biggest cave systems in the United States. We went extreme caving in 5 foot of water, having to go through 1 foot clearance at one point. It was pretty extreme. It was definitely unexpected. I've done a lot of things that month that I've never even dreamed I'd do. The tour kicked off with we went to an amusement park because my boss is a roller coaster enthusiast. So that was the first week of the trip, was traveling to do roller coaster rides. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, with roller coasters, but I think you kind of lost me on the Spartan race. And once you were in the cave, I was totally out of there.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I commend you for that. So that's really dedication.
I got a text from my wife after the cave system, finding out, I had to find out on Facebook Live that you're in a cave. You don't call me beforehand. I could lose. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Question though, would you do it again? Would you go caving again?
Yeah. I mean, it was scary, but the cave guide that was there was very calm, and I didn't get stuck, but my boss got stuck, and he was ahead of me, and he was panicking. And the way she was calming him down, I was like, okay, she knows what she's doing. She's not going to let us, she's not going to leave us. So it was definitely the guide really helped ease the anxiety of going in there. It was scary, but
Sounds scary.
it was fun.
So I love the fact that you've been through these different reiterations, and now you're kind of hitting your stride on yet this new one after you face unfair termination or some such thing. Is that how you termed it?
The whole company, the whole office in the United States was let go.
Yeah.
And went overseas. So it was everybody that was in the team was gone. We were like, what happened? It was sudden. It was so sudden. And for 4 months after that, almost 6 months, I was having a hard time even landing an interview.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting scam responses through WhatsApp. Oh, if you go through WhatsApp. And I'm like, that's a little fishy. Right. And I ended up taking the bait on one of the interviews, and It was a text interview. It was through WhatsApp, which they can do like the video calls. But and I tried to call them, but they're like, nope, do text only. And I'm like, this is a scam.
Right. I mean, it's
There's
a
so
bot.
many. There's so many out there. And now I use Chat GPT when I get like an email or whatever. I'm like, is this a scam? And it'll
Mhm.
show me the red flags. But they're still out there.
Yeah, it's crazy. But you know what? That seems like it's in your rearview mirror a little bit.
Yes.
Tell me about Back to the Future with Legos, because that was my favorite toy growing up.
Yes. No, Legos is something that I haven't let go of. I still have my old Legos from when I was a kid. In fact, my son, he has his own collection, which his dwarfs mine. Like he has so much more Legos than I've ever had. And the
Mm.
Legos that I wanted, like the Technics or whatever, he's not into that. So I'm waiting for him to get into the electronics and building robots and stuff. But
Uh-huh.
he's into VR now. So he's in and out of Legos, but I still play with Legos. Do I have any Legos? Yeah, I have a couple Legos over there.
Yeah, no, Legos are wonderful. I can't even recall how many hours I spent building houses. Now I'm a designer, so I built houses a million ways, and my like preferred piece was the actual window that you could get.
Nice. With a
Uh,
glass pane that
yeah,
you
yeah,
snap right in.
right. So that was like buco dinero back in the day.
Oh, I'll watch YouTube videos on engineering, on how people build Legos. Like they build like a pneumatic pump. And they build like all sort, like a piano, like a pipe organ piano with Lego pieces. There's a whole YouTube channel on it. It's fascinating.
So now, your new role that you landed was it? I'm sorry. Give us a time frame. When did your company move overseas? What year was that?
It was like 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
Jove went over.
Right. So now tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
So after 6 months of unemployment, someone reached out to me about a job posting on Facebook about this band, Recycled Percussion. And I've heard of them. They're local. They're from the same town that I'm from, Manchester, New Hampshire.
Hmm.
So, and I'm familiar with them because they were on America's Got Talent back in 2012 and they got like third place, I think. They almost won. And so they're like celebrities in New Hampshire.
Right.
So I was familiar with them, but I didn't know they had a TV show. So I saw the posting saying that they're hiring a videographer and editor for their TV show, and it's a 6-month gig, potential permanent. And I mean, I've been there for almost 2 years, so it's definitely
So it
permanent.
worked out.
But it started off as being just as a camera guy, following them around. My first week, they did a 24-hour Facebook Live, and they have fans all over that will come in person to participate. So we had a polar plunge in the Merrimack River.
Oh,
And it was February, so it was freezing. I actually participated. I went down into my underwear. I had a GoPro on my chest, and I went in the water. They also did for that first couple of weeks. They had me do things that's not on my radar, like graphic design, because they do clothing. Ryan, he's the designer. He does all the designs, but if there's something that he can't do, he'll come to me and ask me like, "Oh, can you put this box together, a Christmas box?" And I'll do that. So my core functionality there is very broad.
yeah, it sounds it.
I do more than just videographer and editing. They just opened a burger restaurant at the mall in New Hampshire that I
Wow.
designed I pretty much designed the layout. My boss asked me to put a layout together on, take a photo of the old restaurant and put like the new graphics on there. So he, based off of my designed the storefront, and there's the menu I designed. I designed the animations on the side of the restaurant. There's nothing the same. It's always different.
So has that always been part of your DNA, this artistic design?
Yeah, like adaptability. I'll adapt to whatever comes my way, and I'll figure out a way. Like I've worked for Apple for 3 years, and I trained on how to use Final Cut Pro and how to use the software.
Hmm.
And after I left there, I went through a period of folding origami. So my whole house was covered in origami. It was like a phase that I went through. I was like, oh, I want to try like and it was like intricate designs that I was doing.
Sure.
And I can't remember how to do them. I have to follow instructions. So I only made the designs once. So everything I made, I only made once because
Hmm.
I would get bored of making it again.
Right.
But yeah, so I've always been creative
Hmm.
no matter what medium it is,
Right.
whether it's writing or designing or even music.
It also goes to survivability, creative minds, when one door shuts, another one opens, and how do I
Yeah,
recreate and reinvent myself?
exactly.
When you're following these guys with all these crazy stunts and everything, so is some of it scripted? I mean, as the videographer, I mean, like, how do you know where to be, when to be there, and so on?
Yeah, none of it's planned really. If it is planned, it's planned short notice.
Right.
So we usually just Justin is a very all over the place. Like he has so many ideas
Hmm.
and he's a fast talker. He'll want to do ideas quickly. And so yeah, there is really no planning on it, and that's something I thrive in. Like I just follow. I'm in the shadows, kind of with the camera.
Right.
So it's definitely, yeah, it's not like I would love to do more narrative stuff, like in the future, do like a TV show or whatever with characters and in a script. But this has been fun filming reality TV, and that's something I've done in the past.
Hmm.
And it kind of stems from my news videographer experience, like kind of filming news segments and knowing what to capture and when to capture it.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's kind of where I was going. Because I mean, if there's no script and you don't know what's coming next,
yeah,
part of it being a successful take is you being in the right place at the right time.
and knowing like from past experiences, like okay, so I know that he's gonna like say like the way someone talks, like I can recognize a pattern, like okay, he's gonna say something in a moment, so I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna focus on that, or I can anticipate a certain move, so I can cut to a wide shot or move a location and get a different shot. But in the end, it's all in the editing for me,
Right.
especially for this show. That's how we figure out the story.
Right.
And Ryan, who's been editing the TV shows up till I got hired, so they have 9 seasons
The
of
success.
episode. Yeah, like in 20 something Emmys before I got there, and so Ryan's been doing all of that work, like filming, editing, and he pretty much trained me. So he's been mentoring me through this whole like editing process. I've edited almost 3 seasons so far.
Hmm.
And every step of the way, he's been there guiding me, like kind of teaching me the storytelling aspect. It's not about the editing. It's not about how good you are at editing or how like fancy you are. It's all about like the content of it.
Right.
And that was the one thing I learned about working on the show is it really doesn't matter like how good the edits are. It just as long as the story's there.
Right.
Like you
You know, I,
feel something.
I was just in a feature film and the director told me there are 3 films: the script you read, the film you film, and the film that's produced after editing.
Yep.
And they could be 3 completely different stories presented completely differently, but that editing is so key to what's the story that unfolds. So you must have really taken this guy, you must have his confidence. If he'd gotten all these Emmys,
Yeah.
nominations or awards prior to joining, I would think he'd have been pretty protective as to who's going to step into his shoes.
That's why I was very nervous about first going into the job is like, I don't know when I got offered the job, it was through text. I didn't respond right away. I
Mhm.
talked to my wife and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this.
Right.
I was nervous. And my wife, she's like, you can do this. Like you've been doing this for your whole life. Like
That's why you're
you
married.
you have this.
Right.
So I took the job and honestly, Ryan is he's the nicest guy. Like his feedback is so delicate and detailed.
Hmm.
Like it's super detailed. And like I couldn't ask for a better feedback system than that because
Best way to grow.
he gives me like, yeah, exactly. And then I've become a better at like I've thought I plateaued for a while. I was like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna get any better at this specific craft.
Hmm.
Because I've wanted to do other things like VFX artist and graphic work and directing and writing. So I was like, maybe editing is something I should start veering away from and doing something else. But working on the show as an editor, like I've definitely like strengthened my muscles in that.
Well, it sounds also like this Ryan's a bag full of ideas.
Oh,
So
he is.
if you stay connected with them, there'll be another idea coming down the pike anytime
And
soon.
they're great musicians too. Ryan actually produced Justin. They're cousins, Justin and Ryan, and they challenge each other back and forth. And right now, Justin is originally he was supposed to be stranded on a deserted island for a month while he writes his book. That didn't work out because of sand fleas. It was an infestation. So now he's traveling around the United States writing his book. Before that, Justin challenged Ryan to visit all 7 wonders of the world in in a record amount of time, or hitchhike from LA Hollywood sign all the way to New Hampshire, just busking, just drumming and hitchhiking. So one of the challenges, the reason why I bring this up is he challenged Ryan to record an album, like 5 songs in a studio and release it on iTunes. And he did that. And honestly, like, and he made music videos too, like that Ryan shot and edited. And it's super impressive, the talent that I work with, like the range. They perform over 10,000 shows in Vegas in the span of like 10 years, and they still do shows every season. Like right now is the winter tour. The winter tour starting at the Palace Theater on the 1st, I believe, and they're going for like 2 weeks there, and then they go to another theater for another week, and they go to another theater. They have their own theater that they did whole summer performance at, and I go with them sometimes when they do tours in in other states like Texas, or we went to Chicago a couple months ago and performed for, it wasn't Lego, but they were using Lego. It was like an engineering conference for kids. And I think the guy from the person who invented Segway,
Oh, wow.
he actually is from Manchester, and he is on the board of this engineering conference thing. So it was really cool. Like, we experienced a lot of cool things on the job.
Well, it just goes to show you, never say never, never say die. Because here is, the carpet got pulled out from under you, and then all of a sudden you landed in this fantastic situation where you're able to grow and you can respect the people you work for, and they're giving you all this incredible feedback. I mean, I just love to hear things like that, because a great mentor is hard to find. Some people, time is short. They just want things done, and they're not necessarily willing to teach. So,
Yeah.
but now, do I understand this correctly? Are you writing a TV pilot?
Yeah, I was toying with the idea of writing a series, like, for the past couple of years. Like, I want to write like a series, like a Netflix, Apple TV type thing, where people are coming back every week,
Uh-huh.
as opposed to writing a film where you're sitting there for an hour and a half, 2 hours. I could sit through like a TV show, like, it's easier for me. So that was my goal, is to write a series. And I've written screenplays in the past. I've written like 120-page scripts before, and it's daunting. So I sat down for the last month and I started writing a series about, and I had this idea about this app that you can see ghosts. It allows you to see ghosts through, it's like a ghost hunting app.
Sure.
So I wrote this series centered around a ghost hunting team who discovers that they're not only seeing these ghosts, their ghosts are becoming real. Like, essentially they're pulling the ghosts from their time, and they find out that what they're doing is they're actually looking into past. They've opened up like a time travel window. Yeah. And there's this corporation, like this big corporation, that's trying to use their tech to fix a paradox and have a singularity timeline, as opposed to like the many fractured timelines. And it's based on real science. I was actually cross-referencing it using Google's Gemini to figure out a way to make this make sense, because that was like the one thing about, like, I wanted it to be grounded in science.
Right.
So it's all science-based, with Einstein's theory of relativity and his papers, the Tesla papers that the FBI seized when he died. The lore is based around an actual thing, an actual conspiracy theory called the Pegasus Project,
Right.
which was a project back that was run, I'm not sure, like that DARPA or whatever ran this thing where they had a chronovisor that allowed you to see in the past. So you can see historical events. And they used kids because they had a better temporal field. They were sensitive to that. If you look up the Pegasus Project, you'll see a bunch of videos on this. And when I was
I will
writing,
definitely look it up, because
Yeah.
I thought it was a fantastic idea when I read it in your bio.
well, I was writing the pilot episode, and I didn't know about the Pegasus Project. And I was watching a YouTube channel called The Y Files, and they go over the Pegasus Project, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm writing this.
You stand for everything, or what we're trying to put out there for people, that, there's always a way to reinvent yourself and hit your stride after having multiple different experiences, and then conjoining them and putting them into something new. And it sounds like you're on this fantastic trajectory to, like, really make a difference. And I'm going to look for that Netflix or Hulu or wherever you end up with the sci-fi app, because I think it's a great storyline.
Yeah, definitely. I have the whole series is written. So I have, right now I'm simmering on it. I'm like
Okay.
waiting, just kind of letting my feelings kind of dwell over it and because it's a whole world that I built that I didn't realize how intricate it was. So now I have to make sure it makes sense. So I have to
Okay.
cross-reference like the continuity and the plot holes. So that's the next step right now.
All right. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you so
And
much.
thanks for spending some time with me. I appreciate it.